Now that I done got myself worked up, let's now talk about this guy in the Ferrari. I just pulled it up. All right, let's talk about this real quick.
Excuse me, sir. Quick question for you, man.
Yes, sir.
Is this your Ferrari?
Yes, sir, it is.
And what do you do for a living out in Austin, Texas to be able to afford a Ferrari?
I run a real estate team here in town.
And how long have you been in real estate for?
20 years this summer.
Over these 20 years, what's the most amount of money that you've ever made in a single year?
A little bit over 1.1 mil.
Now, I go all over the country just asking people a few questions on their best advice to the younger generation. Is it cool if we ask you a few questions outside of the car?
Sure.
How old were you when you became a millionaire?
38.
Are you a buyer or a seller?
I'm always looking to buy. In
So-
fact, this car was paid by one of my rental properties. So when I was 19 years old, I bought my first house. Everybody said, don't buy a house, you're going to anchor yourself. Don't do it. One thing I learned is this.
I'm gonna let the rest play. See why you don't listen to people that don't know what they talking about?
This life quote: stand guard at the gates of your mind. Do the opposite of what most people are willing to do. So I bought my house. I ended up selling it, made like $250,000 from the sale of that house 20 years after I bought it. And then I was going to go buy this vehicle cash. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just invest it in some rental properties. And now this car gets paid by my rental property.
So you bought this Ferrari with real estate?
Yeah. And the thing is this, like nowadays, a lot of people say, hey, don't buy real estate. There's a lot of people out there, don't buy real estate. You know what? I love that. And I hope all my tenants hear it because they keep paying for my stuff. This is not to say, oh, you know what? I want to be mean about it. But the reality is that we have a choice. We either pay for our own roof over our head or we're going to pay for someone else's and someone else's lifestyle. And the way I see it is like, just pay it for yourself. It's worth it. But if not, then you can rent from me and then we're good.
Oh my God, that was phenomenal, Victor. Come on, man.
Woo! Shout out to my man Victor. I like that suit. I like that whole ensemble that he got right there, man. Can we please break this video down? Come on, man. Give me some time. I want to break this video down because my man talked straight facts. Now, people are probably going to be more intrigued with the Ferrari because it's a Ferrari. I don't care. I mean, I do care about the Ferrari. I am a car guy. But it's everything that he said on how he got it, how he maintained basically a business, how much money he made. He said that he bought his first house at 19 years old and people was telling him not to do it. I can say the same thing, that when I said I was going to start flipping properties, you know, I had got some negative comments thrown my way. Like, oh man, don't do that, blah, blah, blah. And I made the most money I ever made flipping my first house. I made over 6 figures, no cap. I got the HUD statement if you want to go ahead and check me out. I can give you the address and everything. You can see how much money was made on that thing. But just like he said, that was the best decision I made. Kept the house for 20 years. Cashed out $250,000 later. And this is the thing, you can do stupid stuff when you got money coming in like that. When you got rental properties and you're investing in fix and flips and you got a business over there, you can do stupid stuff. You can afford to. And so then he says, instead of me actually taking the money out and buying this car cash, which I could have done because I can be silly like that because you got that money, you got it coming in. He said, I reinvested it. Oh my gosh, drop a bomb. So he put that money back into the real estate, back into what made him all this money, to now get residual income, and now tenants, pay for his Ferrari. If y'all not excited about that, then maybe that's why I feel like I'm on the world of my own when I see these things, and I'm excited about how people actually strategize to get these things. It's not the material thing, it's how he got it, and it's not that hard. I'm sure, you know, consistency and everything else, but that's the part that I'm excited about. He said, instead of me just buying it cash, I just went and bought more real estate and now they pay for it. I don't even got to worry about it. I just got to keep the houses rented out and keep the money coming in. So imagine what my man's house looked like. Who paying for that? Oh, man. I love it. I love it because this is how you do it the right way. So when you guys, sometimes you see people out there that have these expensive items, they might have a business that pays for those things. And see, this is what I say here on the Cold Summer Podcast. I have an issue when people don't have investments coming in to buy the things that they want that are expensive. I do not have a problem with people that have businesses and real estate and assets that are paying them residual or passive or whatever, and they're going out there buying expensive stuff. I have absolutely no problem with that because you can. Right? It's the regular people with the 9-to-5 jobs that only have active income that go out and buy these expensive stuff and you can't afford it. Like if you have no job, then you couldn't afford it. If this man had no job, he can still get that rental income coming in. Let's break this video down a little bit more because it was so many gems that he dropped in here, bro. I just like it, man. But that's a nice Ferrari, of course.
How long have you been in real estate for?
20 years this summer.
Over these
All right. 20 years, right? And also, too, a lot of times we want to look at people and see what they have, and we think that they just got it yesterday, right? He's been in real estate for 20 years, so he probably has sacrificed a lot during that time. I'm sure he probably hasn't had a Ferrari this entire time. He's probably made some sacrifices. It sounds like he's investing. I don't know if he's a fix and flipper or not, but he's probably been doing a lot of investing. He's probably went broke before as well, but 20 years is a long time. Experience and knowledge, man.
What's the most amount of money that you've ever made in a single year?
A little bit over 1.1 mil.
Now, I go all over the country just asking people a few questions on their best advice to the younger generation. Is it cool if we ask you a few questions outside of the car?
Sure.
How old were you when you became a millionaire?
38.
Are you a buyer or a seller?
I'm old.
Come on. Hold on. Shout out to my man. I'm about to be 34. I'm about to be 34 on Tuesday, so I got some time to catch up there. I think his name is Victor. But he became a millionaire at 38 years old, right? And so he's been investing in the real estate for 20 years. Well, I don't know how old he is now. So at 38, he became a millionaire, which is dope. That's dope, right? That's the power of real estate, man. Jeez, that's the power of real estate.
He's looking to buy. In fact, this car was paid by one of my rental properties. So when I was 19 years old, I bought my first house. Everybody said, don't buy a house. You're going to anchor yourself. Don't do it. One thing
See? And this is why you have to listen to wise counsel, right? Wise people. You can't just take advice from anybody or somebody who's never done it just because they say it's risky, but they've never put $1 into investing into real estate or whatever. I've heard the same thing before. I have heard the same thing. Oh, man, don't buy that. Don't buy that house. It's too expensive. You might lose money. And that's very true. It's very true. You could possibly lose money on a real estate transaction. It can happen. But here's the thing. Just like you can lose money, you can also be right and make a whole lot of money. And what happens if I make a lot of money, like I did on a couple of my projects? Now I've gotten experience. I've learned. Now I'm able to buy more properties. This man bought his first property at 19 years old. Imagine if he would have listened to them and not bought that property. He may not even be in real estate if he would have listened to them. And where are they now to tell him? They're not going to help him out. They wouldn't have helped him out. Now he's the man. Now he's the multimillionaire that they probably looked to get advice from, and he was told not to invest into real estate at age 19. That man had all the time to fail. I just mentioned it earlier in the live stream. When you're that young, take the risk, because if you fail, you can get back up much quicker than you can if you're 40, 50 years old, you got a bunch of kids and all that stuff. You can do that. He was 19, bought his first house, didn't listen to that person that told him not to buy it. 20 years later, my man is more than a multimillionaire. He became a multimillionaire at 38 years old. He riding a Ferrari. What kind of car are they riding in that told him no? Are they struggling with that car? No, probably. He ain't, because his tenants is paying for it. Let's see what else he said.
Is this life quote: stand guard at the gates of your mind. Do the opposite of what most people are willing to do. So I bought my house. I ended up selling it, made like $250,000 from the sale of that house 20 years after I bought it. And then I was going to go buy this vehicle cash.
Hold on, Victor, man, you going too fast. 20 years later, he sold and made $250,000 on the sale. Did y'all catch it? Did you catch it? The power of appreciation is what I'm seeing. He got that house, kept it for 20 years, and $250,000 later. Imagine what you could have done in 20 years. Imagine if you were like, you know what, I'm looking to retire now and X, Y, and Z, and I'm looking to retire off my portfolio. And off that one house, you make $250,000. What if you got other properties? What if they've appreciated? That's the power of appreciation, what he just said right there. It's insane. And I'm guessing it's in Texas. I can't guess because he might have properties all over. But $250,000 is a lot of money. That's good money. I don't know if it was his primary residence where he could have possibly got it tax-free at one point, or if it's an investment property. But still, even if it's an investment property, he can still defer the taxes on that thing if he does a 1031 or whatever. And he ain't got to pay taxes on it at all if he does a 1031 exchange. How y'all not excited about this stuff, man? He makes that much money. So just imagine, man, people that are telling you don't buy real estate now and this and this and that, it's only going to get more expensive.
Sensational.
And when it gets more expensive, you're going to use the same excuse they were saying. See, I'm 33 years old, and everybody keep talking about 2008 because that was the big crash. It's 2024. People still talking about the '08 crash. Bro, the houses have went up tremendously by then. Did you miss I can't even say the word. Did you miss 2020? When, there was like a little, virus going around and everything skyrocketed. And then the houses are still on the rise. Don't buy real estate if you want to. Don't buy real estate if you want to. That's why they got these companies out there in Atlanta and the hedge funds out there buying real estate, and they're not going to sell ever. So meanwhile, while you don't want to buy real estate and they're buying it all up and they're using it as buy and hold so they can send it out to you to rent, you're going to be a renter. You're going to end up becoming a renter. And so now, what does that mean for you and your family? That means you got to constantly go out there and look for rent, while meanwhile people are getting rich because you got to have a place to stay. And in 10 years, 12 years from now, you will be thanking yourself for buying the real estate. I've told this story before, and I guess I get to tell it again. And here's the story. Back in 2017, I bought my first home, right? If I did it all over again, I would have house hacked and got a duplex, but, I didn't know. But I bought my first house in 2017. I bought it for $170,000. At the time, the realtor I was with, I was like, oh, man, I don't want to offer him the full 170, man. Let's play a little bit of hardball. Let me try to come on like maybe $5,000 below, thinking I knew what I was talking about. He said, dude, if you want this house, you give him full price offer. It was a newer subdivision, everything. Like he was like, just full price offer. Fast forward 7 years later, that house is now worth $290,000.
Audio Jungle.
So a house that I was afraid to bid on at $170,000, even though it was my primary residence, I was like, yeah, man, penny pitch him, let's try to get it down. He said no. Offer them what they want. 7 years later, which flies by, that house is worth $290,000. We might as well say $300,000 because I sold a house that was right down the street for $305,000. So this is a $300,000 house. Now, guess what? I'm okay with paying that $170,000. In fact, I would pay $170,000 again. I would pay $170,000 two times. Where's the other house that's $170,000 in this area? So that's what he's talking about. That's what he's showing you is like the power of appreciation. How he bought this house 20 years later, it's worth $250,000 more. And because he likes expensive things, probably, instead of him, cashing in on the Ferrari, he says, I'll just reinvest it into some houses, or maybe it was an apartment building, and I'll use that money to buy his Ferrari. The power of appreciation, man. Get in now when it comes to real estate. If you asking me right now,